Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are jeweler Raju Rasiah and director Andrew Block. Jeweler and rare stone expert Raju Rasiah was born and raised on a tea plantation in the island of Ceylon. He went to St. John's College, and then he studied at the Gemological Institute of America. This shop that Raju has on Rodeo Drive, it's a historic Frank Lloyd Wright building, and it's on the famed Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. How did you choose that spot for your shop?
Actually, I just passed by that building many times, and I was looking for a place, and then it so happened that place was vacant, and I said, this is the place.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful
yes.
building.
Yes.
But how does a person like you, who was raised on a tea plantation, find your way to America? Tell us what it was like on that tea plantation.
Actually, I was born in the northern part of Sri Lanka called Jaffna. It's more of a desert and by the beach. And it was and it's the northern part of Sri Lanka. But I worked in the tea plantation. I managed a tea plantation.
You managed it?
Yes, owned by my dad's business partner, Don Ranavira. It was a 1,500 acres tea plantation.
Did you harvest?
I managed it. So we harvested tea from there, and actually the exports are done by other companies, but we harvest tea.
It was Ceylon, obviously,
Ceylon.
When
Yes,
you were
yes.
there, and it's known not only for its tea, but for its rare stones. Tell us that history about how they started finding stones there.
Actually, it goes back to several centuries ago, and history shows that many important personalities in the old era came to Sri Lanka and found gemstones. And in the mid-1700s, India was one of the richest economies in the world. And I think during that time, Sri Lankan gemstones became very popular.
Did India own?
No, India.
Was it part of
India was not. Sri Lanka was always a separate country, to my knowledge. But I'm sure many centuries ago there would have been some connection. But still, we are very close to India, and.
Because during that time, the Mughals were looking for big stones and rare things, weren't they?
Yes, and people from all over the world came, collectors of gemstones, jewelers, people came from all over the world, and history shows that sometimes they even say that King Solomon sent his people over there to buy some stones. I'm not sure.
The mines of King Solomon. Yeah. You left there in your 20s to come to the U.S. How did you decide to do that? It was such a big move.
Actually, in 1970, Sri Lanka became socialist at that time. And then I decided that I would go to a country where it's freedom and that I could progress. And so I came over here in 1977. And that time, gemstones were just a hobby. And
with you they were?
Hobby, yes.
Oh, what were you going to do?
And I just collected, and I was in the tea plantation, and I, saw gemstones. I collected and just kept it for myself. And I never thought that I would be in business selling gemstones, but I loved the gemstones.
Did you just go out and find things that you liked, or did you?
Actually, I had some of the people who worked in the mines and who had been trading. I just got in contact with them, and then they showed me about the beauty of the gemstones and how they are cut and how they are finished and the details about it. So I learned more.
Were they cutting then? Were they cutting
Yes,
there?
yes, they were
and
cutting in Sri
polishing
Lanka.
and-
Yes, yes. And
Did you
then-
go on the bench? Did you learn
No,
things?
I never worked with my hands. So the gemstones, mostly with my eyes and my mind.
Oh, so even to this day you don't?
Yes, I don't cut. I don't make any jewelry. But
So you design?
yes, I design.
I
and
see,
also-
I see. Well, and then you became interested in doing it as a life profession.
Yes, yeah. When I came here, I wanted to finish my studies and complete my degree and things like that. But I just got some of my stones that I collected as a hobby, imported them here, and I showed it to a few dealers and jewelers, and they loved it, and they wanted me to go back, and so I started going back to Sri Lanka and exporting gemstones to the United States, and I was doing mostly wholesale and to dealers and jewelers.
Was that easy for you to go and come? And were you fulfilling orders, or were you still bringing things for yourself?
Yes, mostly the people whom I showed initially and sold, they were interested in it, so they were directing me what to get and what to
yeah.
buy. So I had mostly like orders. I mostly had.
And then did you decide to go to the GIA after
yeah,
that? Or?
yes.
So
I
it was
did-
all really what you
yeah,
had learned
yes,
as a youngster
Yes.
about stones. And then
Yes.
did the GIA help you?
Yeah, very much. I did the colored stones, identification and essentials, and got the knowledge of the academic part of the gemstones.
I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to hold it. Will it fall if I... Oh, yes,
Yeah,
it'll
hold
fall. This big stone,
Is the aquamarine?
how many carats? It looks
That's
like 50.
153 carats.
153.
Carats,
And
yeah.
what's so rare about this?
That size and the color is pretty rare. It's a beautiful color. the
This
real
is my
aqua blue.
birthstone, March.
Oh, good.
I think it would be perfect for a bow tie,
Yes,
don't you?
yes, yes.
And then this other one,
The Alexandrite, it changes color in different lighting. It changes color. So-
and the Alexandra is sometimes purple.
Yes, in the night, in incandescent light, when there's the proper lighting is there, it changes color. And the daylight is more green.
And tell us what the rarity of this stone is.
Because it changes the color, it comes from the variety of chrysoberyl, and because it changes the color, actually it's a pretty expensive stone.
And it's rare, isn't it? Because
Rare,
there
very
are
rare,
very,
yes,
much,
yes,
very
yes,
many of them.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
there's a lot of aquamarine, but it depends on the
Yes.
color and the depth.
You're right.
Let
yes.
me see this. This is beautiful. I don't know what that is.
That's
Is
a
it
blue sapphire. It's called the Ceylon blue sapphire because the color, that particular cornflower blue color, was known as because Sri Lanka was known as Ceylon. Even to this day, they refer to it as the Ceylon blue sapphire.
Is it a little lighter than usual?
Yeah, that's the
sapphires?
color. Yeah,
I love
Yes,
that
yes,
color. I
yes,
think
yes,
this color
yes.
is much more, to me, it's more desirable than this necklace because
yes,
this
yes.
is a darker sapphire,
Darker
right?
sapphire, yes.
Okay, and this?
That's a pink sapphire.
Oh, that's
Pink
great.
sapphire.
And
It's,
are those rare as well?
Yes, because that's 22 carats, so it's pretty rare, that
Oh,
size.
because it's big?
Bigger the size. And also, the nicer pinks are becoming more rare.
This has a really nice color. Are any of these heat treated?
Some of them are heat treated, but these two are natural stones. Yes.
And what does
unheated.
the heat treating do? When people talk about, oh, that's a heat treated stone, is that good or bad?
It's accepted in the trade. What they do is there are some inclusions, rather, in the stone, which when you heat, it disperses and the color becomes more darker. So they did this under high temperature, and they bring it, take it up little by little to higher temperature and bring it down little by little. And then that's called the heat-treated sapphire. That is accepted in the trade, but they always, when the certification is done, it shows that it has been heat-treated.
And when you look at it, can you tell it's heat treated? Or do you have to test it?
Most of the time, it's difficult to say, but a highly trained eye could sometimes find the inclusions in the stone, and they could tell it was treated or not.
And if it's treated, does it have to be told? You have to be told that you're getting a heat treated?
Yes, I would. I would do that.
Do they do that with everything? Do they do that with diamonds?
Diamonds, yes. They're supposed to, if it's clarity or color enhanced, they're supposed to disclose it to the customer.
And tell us about this it's on
It's a
yellow
beautiful,
diamonds?
Yeah, it's a blue sapphire, pear shape. It's 22 carats. It's with diamonds around it, and we designed it.
Those
that's a natural
huge
stone.
diamonds on top
Yes,
of it.
yes.
How big are those?
The diamonds are not that big. They're about 20 points, not very large. But these are like the setting looks almost like the yellow diamonds, the setting.
It
Yes.
looks like, yeah, it's
Yes,
fantastic.
yes.
And this is a
This
fantastic.
is, yeah, diamond necklace. It's
looks like
a
lace.
choker. Yes, yes, it's diamond.
Can I hold it?
Sure, please.
This is like lace. Fantastic. Oh, and I see two more stones that I
Yes.
didn't talk about. Let me hand this to
Sure.
you. And tell me about this. Is this a topaz?
That's a yellow sapphire.
Oh, it's a yellow
That's
sapphire.
a natural yellow sapphire.
So we had a blue,
Pink.
blue, pink,
And that's a
and
yellow.
yellow.
Yeah, the sapphires come in rainbow colors. You know.
Oh,
yes,
they're
all
so
colors.
great. And this?
That's a spinel, a purple spinel, which is also.
People talk about spinel and they think it's a piece of glass, but that's not true, is it?
No, there are some beautiful red spinels, and there are some beautiful blue spinels, cobalt blue they call. They're
Do we
pretty-
call those rare as well?
Yes. yes.
So those are expensive too,
Yes,
spinel.
Yes.
Well, you have your jewels on the red carpet. Who wore your jewels?
For the Golden Globes and for the awards,
Academy
Oscars,
Awards?
yes, yes. And we had ladies as well as men wore jewelry. Last year we had Cheryl Hines, Kate Flannery, and Lou Gossett Jr. He wore for the Oscars.
That's
the
something
piece
I wanted
made,
to
yes,
ask
yes.
you because you talk about, we always talk about jewelry for women, but you have a lot of men clients.
Yes,
What do
yes.
they wear?
Beautiful rings. and
Like you're
sometimes
wearing?
Earring. I
Oh,
made
they do?
earring,
Oh, yeah?
and also necklace I made for men.
And when you have these celebrity clientele, how do they come to you? Do they say, "Oh, I want to wear"? I'm going to Raju's to get a sapphire.
Mostly by referral because I'm new
I
and
see.
I'm still a small businessman over there. But through referral, people refer them to us, and
But you have to have a clientele who knows people who can be
Yes,
referred. How do
yes.
you build a clientele when you're new like this?
over the years I've been in the business since '77. So I've traveled all over the United States when it's my wholesale business, and also I had my business in the Valley too.
Uh-huh.
So I've met
So you
with
have-
many clients over the years.
What about taking care of your jewelry? I'm very rough.
If you wear like sapphires, diamonds, they're okay because I wear my sapphire all the time, so it doesn't get, there may be a couple of scratches, but nothing happens. Sapphire is pretty hard next to diamond. Chrysoberyls are pretty hard. Spinels are okay, but stones like aqua, which are beryl, emeralds, you have to be pretty careful not to,
Can't bang them
can
around
bang
like
them
I
around,
do.
yes, yes.
I bang everything around.
Yes.
If I break something, can you
Right.
repair it?
Yes, you can. Some of them, they chipped or something, you can always recut them.
I see.
But if it's, yeah.
Well, I'm so happy you came because you really opened our eyes to rare gems. And it doesn't really matter how big they are, does it? If they're perfect and great color.
Oh yes, it could be a 3 carat, 4 carat, 5 carat. It doesn't matter than the size as long as the quality is good.
Well, I'm so happy to meet you and thank you very much.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
And don't go away, we'll be right back with director Andrew Block. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with director Andrew Block, who was born and raised in New Orleans. He received his Bachelor of Fine Arts from Adelphia University in New York and a Master of Fine Arts from DePaul University in Chicago. His work on John Pollone's play, Lost and Found, won him critical acclaim in the 2010 International Film Festival, Fringe Festival, I may add Fringe, when it led to the New York Fringe, Andrew, which showed your stuff, showed your work, and besides all of that, you're a co-founder of Rogue Machine. So tell us a little bit about Rogue Machine, and did the Fringe have anything to do with this?
Fringe came a bit after. So Rogue Machine started about 4 years ago.
Oh, Fringe came after?
Well, Fringe was just last year, yeah.
Oh, it was.
So Rogue Machine is a theater company here in Los Angeles that a group of artists came together and decided that there was a home. There needed to be a home for shows that needed really contemporary plays that needed strong West Coast premieres. So Rogue Machine does world premiere plays, new plays, just like Small Engine Repair, which we're doing now. We started with Complete Female Stage Beauty, which was also a popular movie, Stage Beauty, that was several years ago. But that was the first inaugural production, and it had a wonderful cast and great design value, and it really kind of made a splash, and so it started with a name for that. And it was the Los Angeles premiere of that play.
How did you get involved, or how did you decide to found it? You live in New
York,
right?
I was actually, I do live in New York now. I was in LA at the time. I was actually living here. I lived here for about four years.
Okay,
and,
I see.
At the time, too, I was just coming out of grad school, and I was looking for an artistic home, and I came across I got hooked onto it through some people that I'd worked with in college, and they brought me on board, and I actually auditioned. I was in that production. And then in doing that,
acted. I forgot. You were an actor too, right?
Yeah, I have been. And so I came on, and I found it to be a great place for me to also continue my growth as a director. And so within the first year, we decided to start a late night program. They do with edgier, smaller plays. And Off the Clock series is what it's called with Rogue Machine. And so
that sounds great.
Yeah, it was great.
Clock.
It was great. And so we began that, and we did a production of Adam Rapp's play Bingo with the Indians, and it got a GLAAD nomination and a lot of recognition, and it did really well. So the program Off the Clock with Rogue Machine is really kind of growing, and so that's Small Engine Repair is sort of a production of Off the Clock, but it's also a feature production with Rogue Machine. Anyway, so I was directing that. We began a short play festival there, Shorts and Sweets, which is an annual thing that the theater company does. And then around about a year or two after I had been working with them, I decided that I'd love to be able to continue working with Rogue Machine, but also continue a career path in New York. So I moved to New York
so
within the last fall of '09.
So we're lucky you're here right now.
Yeah, it's the weather is certainly enticing, and with snowpocalypse going on in New York right now and things like that. So it's been a nice little break, and it also I'm glad to kind of continue my collaboration, particularly with John Polono, a playwright that I've developed this is now the 5th play of his that I've worked on.
I was going to say, you've worked with him a lot. So did you and Polono meet in school?
No, we actually met a few years ago during our first production at Rogue Machine Theater. And we kind of discovered that each of our storytelling sensibilities are kind of similar.
Well, have you written?
So I don't know, I don't. I think I'm much better with taking the written word and kind of giving it my own personal flair and kind of helping. The thing that's been great about working with John is we traditionally have been working on his newer plays and stuff like that, so it's been a great way for me to kind of help a play along, and then it's one of those rare opportunities where I think in the art scene this is so rare to find somebody that you kind of share a similar vision with, and that you're able to kind of communicate with free of egos and kind of that kind of thing, and just really it's all about the work and just working with great material.
You think it's about age? I mean, is he the
know.
same age as you? Is Adam Rapp the same? Is
Well,
Neil
he's a little
LaBute
bit-
the
no,
same?
they're probably all about. Those two are a bit slightly older than a couple of years older than me, but I wonder maybe that might have something to do with it. I mean,
So can you understand what he's writing better and be able to direct it better? Is
Well,
what I'm saying?
it just coincidentally the type of material that like Adam Rapp and John Polono, it fits well within kind of the Rogue Machine model. They're new plays. They're smaller. They were a little edgier. This play in particular is. But our Fringe piece was a much more grand scale kind of epic family saga that we went to New York with last year.
But you've also directed Neil LaBute, who is very bizarre, edgy. I mean, do you have a collaboration feeling with him?
Well, I feel like I get the people that he's writing about, I think, and maybe that does have something to do with youth, I'm not sure, but I feel as though he writes, and John Polono, they write about really flawed characters and put them in situations that
Right.
that are interesting to watch these people in, and it ultimately doesn't matter where you see them as long as they're interesting people.
Flawed people.
Yeah,
Does that
exactly.
help you develop a style in directing?
Well, it actually really does. I mean, I'm really drawn to pieces that have real rich character, and that have that regardless of kind of grand theme or idea, that what we're seeing first is people that we really kind of want to get to know, that we may not like, but that there's something about them that is interesting, and that they have real kind of deep layers.
That's a good point, because you say people that we might not like, then how do you present them to the audience? You know the audience isn't going to like them either.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the characters in John Polono's writing, you start out, you see them, and there's something about them that's not.
Does it rub you?
Yeah, that there's a little bit disruptive, and you get to know them, and by the end you see something in them that's worthwhile or redeeming.
But that's what you bring. That's what you have to bring to the audience, right?
Well, yes, and the actors that we work with. I mean,
Right.
and I think one of the things that I like to do is take each individual actor and really kind of get to know them and the kind of thing that they can bring to a role, and shape the story based on their input, I guess, and their development of the piece.
Talk about Polono's new play that you're involved in at this very moment, Small Engine Repair.
Yeah. So
What's the story?
Well, it's about three friends, lifelong friends. They've been friends since they were 6 years old, and they're now in their late 30s, and they've kind of become estranged and alienated from each other over the last few years. In a sense, it's kind of like it's actually a love story between these three friends who find that they need each other in certain ways that to be able to function. And there's lots. It takes place in a lawnmower repair shop in Manch Vegas, New Hampshire.
I see.
In a real a suburban New Hampshire town. A lot of Polono's writing takes place in that.
But
in that region.
places where you've been, have you been to those places?
Yeah, I have.
So you have this.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the South, but I have kind of an East Coast relationship. I mean, I live in New York now, and I've spent some time up in New England and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I think I know these people, and I coming from a background where friendships were so important to me. I mean, I grew up an only child, and so all of my lifelong friends are still friends to today, and so I feel like I have a real connection to that kind of material, and it's really about that. And these friends, and it's hard to talk about without giving too much away, because there's a lot of twists, and there's things in this play that we're not even sure how people are going to take to it, because it's got some really some provocative material to it. But there's things that these friends are really called on to do for each other that are such high stakes, and things that you might not. There's a lot of moral questions that are raised between them and stuff like that.
So how did you cast it?
Or
do you cast it as a director?
Well, ultimately, it comes down to my decision and collaborating with John and the producers and stuff like that. We've been attracting both Rogue Machine and John and I have been attracting some really great talent over the last. We had such a great cast in New York for Lost and Found, which was our Fringe show.
What kind of cast was that? Were they well known, or
it was a great mix of like a veteran New York actors,
right.
Some TV folk. We had Reiko Aylesworth, who was a lead on 24, and Geraldine Lebrandi, who was one of the regulars on The Sopranos, and then a handful of extremely skilled and talented New York actors.
Like Broadway, off-Broadway actors.
It was that. Yeah, I mean, we worked with a great casting director there too, who helped kind of find and shape the material.
How does that affect you? You're working with TV people, Broadway people.
Well, I first and foremost look at who's right for the role, and I mean it certainly gets us some press if we get the right kind of people like that, and it's been really great. But truthfully, right now we're working with an actor named John Bernthal, who's a lead on the show Walking Dead, and he was in The Ghost Rider, Roman Polanski's film last year, and one of the guys on the Pacific with HBO, and he's got a lot of he's got a lot of name recognition, but truthfully we wouldn't have even considered him if he wasn't spot on perfect for the
I see
for the
what
material.
you're saying, yeah.
And he's got a real flavor with this kind of tough, good old boy, New England kind of thing. He's got a real kind of penchant for that.
He fits into
He really
this.
fits into this world really well, yeah. You know, these are guys. This play is really about
So
guys.
it's like
guys.
just three
Yeah,
guys,
well,
huh?
it's 4 characters. It's about the 3 friends and one stranger that comes in and kind of disrupts the dynamic of what's going on with them.
I see, yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, and John Polono, the playwright, is also in the production himself.
He's an actor
as
too?
well, and he's, you know, he obviously knows the material, but he's from this area. He writes these people. He gets it.
Does he live out here?
He does. He does. He and
So-
his family live out here now. Yeah.
So Rogue
Machine.
Machine, Rogue Machine is located where?
It's in Hollywood on Pico, just off of La Brea. It's at Theater. The building is Theater.
I
It's on
see, I see.
5041 West Pico, I think is the address.
It's a great little area, right?
Yeah, it is, and it actually it's kind of up and coming. I mean, there's lots of great restaurants and bars that are kind of popping up in the area now and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
So would something like this go to off-Broadway? Would
Well-
a film be made? What happens to these things?
well, interesting enough, we had such a great success with Lost and Found in the Fringe last year that we've developed, I guess, an extension of the theater company or a new company of people that we are working with in New York as well. And they're kind of eager to work on the next thing. So what we're doing essentially with this piece is shaping it, giving it a really strong premiere here in Los Angeles, and then hopefully bringing it to New York this summer, or we may bring it as part of the Fringe Festival again this year.
Well, one of the things that happened to you because you were so acclaimed at the International Fringe Festival is that you directed at the Louise Lortel Theater. Is
Yeah,
that it?
they took so a handful of shows are selected from the Fringe Festival to participate in what's called the Fringe Encore series. And
Oh, the Encore,
They
I
bring
see.
they extend the show and they bring it to. So we were invited to go to the Lortel Theater, which is such a gorgeous and it's
Is
got
that a
such
great,
history and
great thing for
yeah,
you?
it's an off-Broadway it's an off-Broadway theater in the West Village in New York City.
Yeah, so it's a great thing. It's a very
Oh, yeah.
well-known theater.
Wonderful place.
I see.
Yeah.
So this could possibly work into
I
those
mean, that
kind
would be the hope. I mean, the great thing about John Polono is he's got a real East Coast flair, his writing, and so it had an instant connection to the work there, and I think we're going to do the same
That'd be
thing
great.
with Small Engine Repair.
What about costuming for something like this?
Well,
Do you do that?
I have a hand in what, but actually, like I was talking about with working with the actors. I mean, we have a costumer, actually John's wife, who's helping us produce the play
is
as
that
well.
right?
Yeah, and she's our costumer for this, and she, along with me, really work with the actors. Like I said, we really like to develop from the inside out. And so we talk to the actors, discuss, kind of decide what it is that they see these guys in, and for this particular production.
And before we leave,
Yeah.
tell me, what playwright would you like to work with? Whose work would you like to direct?
Well, right now I've been doing a lot of these, like I said, these sort of smaller, edgier pieces,
Right.
but I've got a little piece of me that is a Sondheim fan.
Oh, really?
And so I have directed musicals. I would like to continue to do that at some point.
You're kidding,
Yeah,
really?
I have. It's been
Are
a
you
little
musical?
while. And so, yeah, in a sense, I am.
Do you
I mean,
play an instrument?
I don't.
But
I'm
you
fr-
sing and
well,
dance?
I grew up in New Orleans, so music has always been a big part of me
yeah,
and my
yeah.
life, and I actually bring a lot of musicality to the productions that I work on and stuff like that. So I think with one of these days in the near future, I'd love to work on a Sondheim piece or something like that.
I think that's our answer.
Well-
That musicality and that New Orleans background.
Yeah.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you so much.